IRMA is not just a management institute. At IRMA, you learn much more. Let's hear what Professor Dhanshyam has to share about his recent research on waste management.
A major problem with which all of us are generally familiar with. Some of us see it with guilt, some of us are friendly towards that, so they try to avoid that. Some of us try to still have a guilt but still do that because of lack of alternatives. That's the problem of single-use plastic. The research is about the use of single-use plastic. How can we nudge someone to not use that? Single-use plastic bags. The specific context is about the grocers. When some of us go for grocery shopping, a lot of times it happens instantaneously. When we people returning from our work or suddenly we see something, we just go and buy. We don't have those single-use plastic. We don't have our own carry bags and all. So we tend to buy it from in form of single-use plastics. So that's where the problem comes. So even if a lot of us who are generally conscious about that, because we don't have anything in our hand, alternatives at that point, we generally buy that. So that's the point where that's what we are trying to understand about what is causing that particular behavior. So there are our initial research was about what is causing that particular behavior, and that's where we had actually found out that a lot of our grocery shopping happens instantly at a nick of moment, and then wherein we people go, suddenly we see a shop and we go there and then we try and buy that. So we don't have enough time to plan to take a bag there and then get that back home. So that's where the problem begins. We tried to develop an experimental setup, kind of a field experiment, wherein we are trying to see what can be done with done for this. So as part of this, what we have tried to do is we are trying to use two major strategies, which in behavioral economics we call as nudge is one strategy, and second one is the awareness. We will be using the grocers as the unit of analysis. So the very first thing, which may look a bit too ambitious at this point, the very first kind of intervention which we are thinking of is to provide them with an alternative which is costlier than the existing one. So it is costlier for the policy maker, or it is costlier for me who is going to provide them, but for them that is going to be free. So that's an experiment we need to understand. The second alternative which we have thought of is trying to have a banner which would have something which is reflecting the ill effects of this plastic waste. Something like, generally we know that oceans are suffering and all kind of things. So this is one thing which we are trying to think of, try to create a creative wherein we will be installing these banners on all of those grocers stores and at every place, either in the background or as in the front. And what would this do? This would awaken that kind of a guilt, and then maybe people would either tend to buy less or would think before buying that. So resultantly the consumption would go down. That is the second one. The third one is a combination of both of this. The combination of giving them that alternative and this. We want to find which of those works best. Of course, we would also have a treatment, a control group. That control group is wherein we will be trying to sensitize each one through awareness campaigns. But this we want to use as a control group, because ultimately we want everyone to be impacted in some way or the other. So there will be three major groups, four groups. One is the control group, wherein the only kind of intervention is awareness campaign. So they would be told about that well in advance. So what are the expected results of this? We generally expect that the combination of that banner, the treatment wherein that combination of banner as well as that particular alternative, which is a low cost alternative, this is going to have the highest impact. Then we expect the banner to have least effect of all those. So that is the differential impact which we are trying to see. What are the policy implications? The policy implications of this would be wherein we as funders or governments as funders, we could actually realize, each of us realize that this is going to be a problem. So rather than spending money on segregating that afterwards or not doing anything about that, the cost of not doing anything about that is much higher. The social cost, the environmental cost of that is much higher. So rather than bearing that cost, let's invest on this initially and slowly try to create an ecosystem wherein those alternatives also become cheaper, wherein they can themselves afford, and then you can slowly tone that down. I am Professor Dhanshyam, your faculty at IRMA.